You cannot
Mhm.
control the environment. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control how a person's going to react to you. You can control how you react to another person. So that's the whole thing about it's an inward thing. So you're going inward and then you're going outward. And that's how I look at it as the whole thing about what you can control.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of Make Dreams Happen. Thank you again for watching this video. As you're listening me in Spotify, I'm super happy today because I had a really special guest today. So I'm super thrilled to have him here in my podcast. So he's from here, from Arizona. He's an author, and I read his book. Is What the Friend. Is really good. So, and we were gonna be talking about today about his book, about his career, about his service to the community because he's also a coach, is an athlete. So I'm super excited to have him. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I'm gonna bring him here to the screen and just give him a welcome to Fred. Welcome, Fred. Thank you so much to be in my podcast. I'm super happy, and it's an honor for me to have you here in my podcast.
Well, thank you so much. I know it's been a long time waiting because we kept on trying to get our schedules
Yeah.
coordinated, and I'm grateful that you're able to do this on a Monday because there was times that like on the weekend I couldn't do it because I got so many things that are going on.
Yeah, I bet you're I bet yeah, normally I do it on weekends, but Monday is fine. I didn't have nothing to do, so let's do it. So I really want to do this
Awesome,
episode
thank
with
you.
you. Of course, thank you for accepting my invitation to be here. Because I know that I'm gonna learn from you. I already learned from you with this book. It's really good. And the people also is gonna learn from you in this episode. So tell us about you. Like let me know how this journey started. I already read your book, but I want people to know more about you.
Okay, my journey ever started when I was a little minion. Um, I guess when you kind of look at it as if we're going to talk about the book, where I was when I was a kid, I used to be the smallest little runt. I played sports. I guess you would say I was a average athlete. I was the last one picked. I just did sports just to get out of the house. And then what ended up happening is I started going from grade school. I did all the sports, but when I was in junior high, I couldn't play sports because I was in trouble. And what ended up happening was um, my buddy and I, we were throwing rocks across the street. And I'm not saying I hit a car. I'm not saying he hit a car, but somebody hit a car. And so he ran directly into his house. I ran into my neighbor's backyard, to another's neighbor's backyard, to another's neighbor's backyard. Thought I was scot free. Went through the back door, and next thing you know, I get a ring. There was a ring on the doorbell, and the person ended up just coming directly to my house because my friend ended up saying, "Hey, he lives here." And so what ended up happening was I loved taking the bus to school because I thought it was like a cool thing to do. What ended up happening was I was grounded. My mom beat me. My dad beat me. The neighbors beat me. The
Oh no.
dog beat me. So I was in major trouble. And so the punishment was I couldn't take the bus. My dad had to take me to school, and then my mom would pick me up. So what my mom would do is we had this Chevy yellow cream color Chevy Nova that had only three hubcaps, and how my mom would park right in front of the school. She would be wearing like a pink moo outfit with curlers in her hair, and then she would go ahead and yell out my name. And so I was known as the pink moo boy. And so I wasn't able to participate in sports. It was just school, and then that was it. And then in high school, I ended up being I wanted to do something different. When you kind of look at it as living your life as the as a person of what you're a life coach. You teach people to live their life as if you want to make a change in your life. And I looked at how I was when I was growing up. I wanted to make a change, so I put myself in uncomfortable situations where I ended up uh, I played tennis, and then I decided to try out for my sophomore basketball team. I got cut from that team. I didn't have the Michael Jordan. I guess you'd say the results of Michael Jordan when he got cut. I ended up went back to the coach and I asked him, "Hey, I would love to play on the team. I heard there was some players that became ineligible, like the opportunity." He basically told me, "You're too short to play on my team." So instead of using that as being negative, I use that as fuel to help propel me, because then I went and I did wrestling. I sucked at wrestling, but I got myself in shape for track. And then next thing you know, I ended up running college track. I ended up running the 100 meter, the 200 meters, the 400 meters, whatever you wanted me to do, I would do it. I just wanted to have the opportunity. And then also too, I realized that when I was in college, it wasn't an easy road to get to become an athlete. I came in and they basically told me on my freshman year, they said, "You're ineligible." Well, like, what do you mean? Your ACT score is too low. You got admitted to the university, but because of your ACT score, you got basic math and then you got remedial English, and you're considered a Prop 48 student, which means that you're ineligible for the whole entire year. And so during the process of me trying to become eligible and passing my courses, I was struggling through school. I realized that I had 3 learning disabilities. And with those disabilities, I was able to use that as my fuel, I guess you would just say, finding patterns, how to go ahead and study better. I realized that I had to read out loud, because if I would read silently, I don't understand what I'm my brain could not process, or when I'm taking notes down, I would always forget certain words. So I struggled. And nowadays kids can go ahead and take
Yeah,
use
that
notes.
yeah, that's great that you say that, because I do that, because English is not my first language. So, and I do that, like I read aloud, because that's the only way that I can hear myself how I'm
Yeah.
speaking, is I pronouncing like the word. Before, I was so how to say, aware of my English that I didn't like to speak, and because I wasn't speaking, I wasn't learning. But then I said, no, I have to use that as a fuel. I need to embrace my accent, who I am, and the way they speak, and also motivate people, because there's a lot of people like me that they don't speak English because they're afraid to speak, or like they embarrassed for their accent.
Right. And then you
Yes.
realize also too, it helps out by reading out loud, helps you with pronunciation of words. Because when I was growing up, I couldn't pronounce certain words. I would go ahead and I couldn't say Harlem Trotters. I almost did it right there. I would go ahead and screw up the word, and my people would laugh at me. So what I ended up doing was, when I was in school, I would go ahead and make fun of myself, because then it was a way for me to avoid being bullied. So if I basically make fun of myself, I didn't have to get ridiculed or teased or whatever.
That's awesome. That's because we're going back then when you were in high school. Do you think that's when you decide that you want to help people and motivate people for everything that you went through, since you were practically people that were denying you for your high, or for just you were having problems to learn?
Correct. I I believe that my mess became my message in life, because of the things that I had to overcome, in order for me to show, like, almost like leading the path. Because I think we want to have like a path in life that maybe it's paved, but in reality, it's like you're forging your own path. We don't know what that path may be. And when you go through that path, you're going to have people that come along with that in that journey. People are going to come along. Some people will stay for a while, they'll leave. That's the whole thing that's beautiful about life, is that you're on this journey and you're learning from others, and you're growing from your mistakes, you're growing from opportunities, and you are just seeing things in a different light. And I think that's the whole thing about people are put into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime.
Yeah, it's like you said in your book, it's a journey, not a destination. So
Exactly.
that's something that resonated with me, and when I read that, I put it right away on Facebook because it's true. We are learning, so people come to your life for a reason, and they also go they leave for a reason too. It's like what you said in your book. That was like, yeah, he's true. He's right with that, and that's something that that's the thing that I like about your book, because I can people. It's so easy to read, and it's because it's your story. You're putting like example that you have been through. People can relate, and I was that what I felt that when I was reading your book.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, and also the name what the frag is, oh my god, it's super like, because it's no. Tell me more about that. What it means, Fred.
Okay, so growing up, I hated my name. I'm going to tell you that much. I always thought like a better name would have been suffice for me, because I grew up during the era when Michael Jordan was playing basketball. And I always thought like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. I looked at these athletes and I'm like, they have a cool name. But I always felt like Fred was just like blah, because my full name is Frederick. And I was named after my grandfather, and my parents didn't want to name me Frederico. So they ended up naming me Frederick. And then everybody started calling me Freddie Spaghetti, Freddie Fender Bender, Drop Dead Fred. I got teased all the time. And I was like, I don't have a cool name. And so it wasn't until much later in my life when I started realizing, like, I started embracing my name. And when I came up with WTF, what the Fred, and that stands for focus, resilient, energetic, and driven. And that those are the four traits to become unstoppable. So when I was telling my family the title and explaining, and I can't made an acronym out of my name, they were like, "That's you," because I'm focused and I've gone through a lot in my life, so I have that resilience, and I use that my setbacks as setting me up for success. And then energetic, how to go ahead and be more energetic in life. And when I tell people about energetic, it's about eliminating those limited beliefs. And if you look at life as like a dimmer switch, if you go ahead and have your light where it's really not so bright, you have a lot of resistance. And then when you finally start turning that dial and you're reducing that resistance, the light gets brighter. That's the same thing about life, about those limited beliefs. Once you start eliminating those limited beliefs, you start radiating differently. You start looking at life differently, and you walk differently. You're communicating differently. You're surrounding yourself with different people. That's how I kind of look at it. And then the whole thing about driven is like, you have to have a purpose in life. Once you find that purpose, you're going to be driven on that purpose.
Yeah, that one of the first chapters about focus. That's the one that I read that one twice, because I think that's something that people struggle to be focused and like know what we want. And you read and you in your book you said that we had to know what we want, and then we like focus and like be like laser focused in that. How do people this thing that I read down here? How can people can apply how can people learn to be focused? I know that you explain that in your book, but how can people like in a certain way can learn to be focused to
Okay, so I'm
achieve
going to
their
go.
goal?
So what I'm going to say is, when you find your why, because when you find a why behind doing things, you're going to find it's going to the how will just magically appear for you. It When you find your why, you're focusing on why I'm doing this thing. Like I can definitely say like I live a healthy lifestyle. And the reason why I live a healthy lifestyle is because I saw my parents struggle. I saw both my parents passing away. I saw them grasping for their last breath. I had both my parents pass away before I turned the age of 50. And so then I look at it as I don't want to do that. I want to be a living inspiration to have other people make changes in their life without having to make major sacrifices. You're just living a certain lifestyle. And that's why I feel like when you have a focus, you're focusing only on that particular thing right there because everything else is just noise. You can go ahead and put things down, like all the tasks that you want to do in life or what you want to achieve. Then you go ahead and you start eliminating things that are going to be outside of that realm. And say it might be like, I'll use this as an example. I ended up wanting to make the Olympic team trials, and that was back when I first started doing this sport of Olympic weightlifting. So that was my focus. And sometimes when you have something like you're shooting out to the stars, you want to shoot to the moon. That is your trajectory. So I'm going to the moon. That is your focus. However, sometimes you have to do course corrections in your life because you can't just go from here going to the moon. You have to have course corrections. That's going to be the feedback that's always occurring. And that's when people get discouraged because you get this feedback. They don't look at it as saying it could be a negative feedback, it could be positive feedback, but feedback, all it is just they think it is failure. I look at it as saying it's feedback that's just telling you to course correct, make the changes in your life to help you get where you want to go, looking at for an outcome. That's when I say like your focus is going to be what is your outcome that you want to achieve and start working backwards. Because I think how other people look at it as I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I don't have that focus. Well, you don't know where you're going. It's just like driving on a Sunday night on a Sunday, you know, like just following your hood ornament and just driving and you have no destination where you're going. But when you have a destination where you're going to go, it's like putting in that in Google Maps, you know where you're going to go.
Yeah, that's true. It's like you don't get in your drive and just drive around without doing where you go. You need to know where you go.
Yeah.
So and that's it's for the reason that I was reading I read that charted twice because something you focus and then but when you don't get like what you want and when you like example you put like a deadline and you don't get that deadline or you don't get what you want in that deadline you like this discouraged then you say oh I don't I won't be able to do it. So it's I didn't do it in my deadline. I don't think I'm gonna do it. And me and myself, personal, I struggle with that, and it's something that I've been working in that. For that reason, the part that you said is you shoot to the moon, but if you get to the star, it's fine.
Right.
So and I was like, oh, he's all right. So and I think if people like we I include myself because I struggle with that. We had to learn like failure is an opportunity to grow and like to get better. So
Right.
and that's why you're teaching us also in this book, and it's part of to get to have a powerful mindset, like to see the struggle as an opportunity to grow.
And it's one thing I'm going to say is change your expectations to an appreciation.
That's good.
Because when you have a destination, you probably have this end goal. And I know a lot of people would say, when do you want this done by? And setting these goals by using SMART goals. Those are great. However, I look at it as it's not about goals. Think of it as outcomes. I'm going to get my outcome, regardless of whatever it is. Because you might be going down a certain road, and then all of a sudden, like some people when they go to college, I have this, I'm going to become this person, or I'm going to get this degree. But what ended up happening is they veer off and they get another degree. Like my degree's in electrical engineering. Am I using my electrical engineering degree? I have not. I have been a software engineer, I've been a system engineer, I've been a test engineer, I've been a project engineer. And but I did use the same knowledge that I've had by being an electrical engineer by some of the some of the classes I took, I was able to utilize some of those classes and utilize some of that knowledge and patterns and that type of stuff, or I can know like what a and all this digital logic. It's like a 1 and 0. That's how life is. It's either going to be on or off.
Yeah,
And then that's when I
that's
applied, and the other thing too, that's when I applied the whole thing about the energy, about being bright and it's about that resistance in life. Because if you look at it as your source energy is coming from God or the almighty power or whatever you have a belief in, that this is where the energy is coming from. You're already born perfect. It's those limited beliefs that are preventing you from living your true potential of who you really are.
and how we get rid of those limiting belief applying the Fred
Okay, by
method.
applying those things is like I ended up talking about like coming up with your I ams, and the other aspect is coming up with, you have these limited beliefs, you find out like I'm not good enough, then you reframe those I'm not that limited belief I'm not good enough. It's like I have abundance all over my abundance. Everything's happening for a reason. Kind of looking at things in a different perspective. Each person's going to be a little bit different because you have to resonate with that. And when you start writing things down, you're going to be like, okay, these are my limited beliefs. But then you're going to go ahead and reframe those limited beliefs. Then you're going to go ahead and take those reframes and making them into I am statements. Then you can go ahead and like right before you go to bed, you're going to be in that theta state. And that theta state is when you're already getting really tired and you're going to be going into sleep. That's when you can go ahead and reprogram your subconscious mind. So when you're from age of 0 to the age of 7, you are already in that theta state where you're absorbing all this information. And how you reprogram your mind as an adult is repetitions. They become habits. So when you come up with the I am statements, you can go ahead every night. You go ahead and you can read them off before you're going to bed. When you wake up, you're going to read them, and you're going to do that twice a day. You're going to do that for what, over 28 days, and it's going to become a habit. You're going to start feeling different. You're going to look at things differently. You're going to surround yourself with positive people. And maybe you want to go ahead and maybe listen to your podcast, listen to positive music, surround yourself with positive information. I look at it as every day we're taking a shower. So you're going to take a positive shower every single day. You're showering yourself with positivityness.
I like that one. Like a shower every day with, yeah, I like it. And you won't believe me. And I had my notebook because I started doing that when I read your book. I do that every night before going to bed. I start writing down my affirmation. And that's has helped me a lot to feel better with myself. And something that I'm telling people now to do it. You need to journal like and say every night before bed, like I am what you want to be, and be something that I learned also from your book is like we have to have like I'm sorry, um we have to be realistic expectation or realistic goal. No, like because sometimes I was having that problem. I was like putting like goals they were not realistic. But now I know I want to achieve this and I want to do this. They have to be realistic. Like it had to be achievable.
Right. The other thing too is like I try to tell my friends these things. They're like, "Oh, just go ahead and just put out this, do your seminars, or go ahead and do some breath work for people." I I come from building upon, so you can build up that confidence. So once you get a win in your life, you start feeling better, and then that starts snowballing. That's how I have these envisions of I teach people how to do a cold plunge, and that's part of the resiliency factor, because I teach people how to go ahead and I say conquer your inner bitch, which is which is in your mind. It's telling you, that voice in your mind saying, I need to get out of here. However, when you're in it, I teach people how to breathe. And when you go into the breathing aspects of taking a deep breath in through your nose and then slowly exhaling out of your mouth, you get into that calm state. And when you first get in the water, you start freaking out. And how you prevent that is by you end up exhaling out. When you get in the cold water, you start putting out all the energy out. And then you start taking the deep breath in and then twice as long as exhaling out. You get into that meditative state. And then I think anything in life is when you're dealing with something that is stressful, just breathe. And then
Yeah,
you're gonna feel calm.
it's something that you said in your book. Like it is the 80% or of what we achieve is in our mind. Is our
Exactly.
mind.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried to explain that to one of my bosses. I said, "You're hiring for the you're looking at the 20%, which is the skill set, when you should be looking at the mindset, which is the 80% skill set. You're focusing all on the skill set, but if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to accomplish what you want."
That's correct. That's true. And that stayed in my mind. So that stick in my mind. So I had something that I was reading in your book, and that I would say I need to ask him. What is fight or flight?
Okay, fight or flight is like, okay, when I was like, when you are in that water, that's when your body like starts freaking out and wants to get the hell out of there. That's the whole thing, because our lizard brain is there for protection. Your brain is telling you, I need to get out of this uncomfortable situation. And then your body reacts to it. So that's the whole thing of fight or flight, where you're going to be fighting for saying, I need to fight this urge, or you're going to go ahead and flight, meaning you're flying out of there.
Yeah, I was like, I need to ask him, but honestly, I was like, I don't know what it is. Firefly. But that's good. Yeah, it's like, thank you for explaining what is that. And another question that I have for you and about your book is like, how you talk in your book about momentum. How we create momentum and how we stay in the momentum to achieve our goal.
Yeah, like I was telling you, everything is a snowball. You get small little achievements, and then you can celebrate within those achievements, because we get discouraged whenever something's going to be pushing us down. And when you get that momentum where you get a first win, it could be like the smallest little thing. I got up in the morning, I tied my shoelaces, I went for a walk around the block. And it's like, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 blocks the next day, and I'm going to do 3 blocks. It's just momentum. Everything that you do carries over, and you start feeling good about it, and you're going to pat yourself on the back, and you're going to be like, it's your journey. No one's there going to be celebrating. No one's going to give you the rah 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 type of thing. It is your journey. you
That's
you you determine what you want to help you get going.
Yeah, it's kind of like every little like thing that you do is kind of celebrate what you're doing, and that's gonna keep you motivated to keep doing. So, and also that's great that you said that, because you talk about, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce it in the right way. It's you talk about motion method.
Oh, the time quarter motion
Yeah.
method. Okay, so that one, I when I came up with that idea, it's like kind of like the modified version of the Pomodoro technique,
Mm-hmm.
where when you're looking at like if you're watching a UFC fight, or if you're watching sports, they have quarters. So you're going to work for 25 minutes. And then what you're going to do is, typically what people do is like they'll work, then they go get on their phone, they're swiping, they're checking things out. What are they doing? They take them out of that state that they're in that particular flow state. And I realized that when you go ahead and actually get into being in motion, you're going to go ahead and walk around the block. You're going to use that time to, if you have a problem that you're working on, you can use that time to talk to yourself and figure things out. You're being in motion, And when I say your emotion, you're getting your emotions involved in it also, because you feel good. You get good endorphins. You can do some air squats. You can do some. You can go ahead and do some calisthenics. You know, jumping jacks. You can run in place, or like I have a standing desk. You're just being in motion, and then once you do that, you get back to doing another 25 minutes, and then after the 25 minutes, you go ahead and do another motion break. And then so you set that up, and then once you get hit 4 quarters, like it's like that's the game is over, and then you do a longer break, and then you go back and have another game. So you make your whole work life as a game.
Yeah,
And then
that's great. It's kind of like go like step by step, and every step that you take a break, and then you come back, like kind of like re-energize.
right, and your brain,
That's yeah,
and
that's the way that I see
yeah,
it.
and then what your brain can only process so much information. I know people that will just sit in the at their computer desk, and they're like cranking out stuff for like 2 or 3 hours. And what ends up happening is they lose that productivity that's out there. So the whole thing is you're getting peaks. You're performing at your peaks of 25 minutes because your brain can only process so much information. Then you're taking a break, but you're still being in motion. And then what happens is, like, when you get the blood flow, that's the whole thing about being in motion, is the blood flow is pumping through your body. And then the blood flow is pumping through your body. It's also giving nutrients to the brain.
And that's when we get focused.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. That's awesome. So I, how to say is your book is like I have read like other books about mindset, but this one is super easy to understand, and the way that you explain it is like you having a conversation with the reader, and I love that one because normally the mindset books are like kind of like a teaching lesson, and this one is like you're talking with people. You're like talking about your experience and like teaching people. I say I like when you say I like when you say my friend. Let me tell you something. I like that made me feel like that you are connecting with the reader, and that's awesome. And I can tell that now that we are in like practically face to face talking, that you have that connection with people. So, and but I want to touch every point in every chapter in your book, and I want something that also like caught my attention in this book is about resilience. You talk about resilience, and you took the sometimes we need to focus on what can we control.
Hmm.
So when you because there's sometimes there I kind of like I was like I don't understand this part too much because how you control the things that happen to you like that you don't have control to the situations.
Okay, so think of it as your outside world. You cannot
Mhm.
control the environment. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control how a person's going to react to you. You can control how you react to another person. So that's the whole thing about it's an inward thing. So you're going inward, and then you're going outward. And that's how I look at it, as the whole thing about what you can control. I can control like what I'm going to go ahead and drink. I can control that. I can control what I'm going to eat. I can control when I go to sleep. I can control how I communicate with others. I can communicate like how I'm listening. Those are things that are I'm in control, but I cannot control outside factors. That's how I'm looking at it, as just keeping things simple.
It's just kind of like the way that you react at the circumstances that they happen around you, like how you control the way that you are gonna react.
Correct.
And that's kind of like a lot of people struggle with that because that's what we come again about like see rejections and failure as an opportunity. So if people something like see those things like a negative way, like oh my the worst is end.
It's kind of like saying like I got hit by a car, and I got hit head on. And I kind of look at it as like, what can I can control? At that time of that moment, the airbag went off. There's smoke in the car. I'm dazed. I'm like, what? What's going on? And the first response that I was going was, let me get the car out of the road to not cause any other issues to other people. So I was able to get that car onto the Circle K entrance, and it died right there. That was my main thing, was the focusing on that. So that was a thing that I can control. I couldn't control anything else that was going on. I can control only what I can control. And I know it's a cliche, and I might not be understanding to certain people, but I feel like it's you look at life as um how can I kind of put this in a different way of thinking it as you cannot control the world. And I think when we look at what's going on in today's world, where we have this victimhood that's going on, where you did this to me, well, I didn't do anything to you. It's how you interpret it, because we see things from our own eyes. It's our own perception. It is because of how we interpret those things that we feel maybe slighted and that, but it goes back to what's between your head. It goes when you start working on yourself and start focusing on yourself and your mindset, you start really realizing that we see the world differently. Where we were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, every day we're seeing the world differently. Every time that we read, every time we educate ourselves, and we go to seminars, we go to events, we start being around positive people, we start seeing things in a different perspective. And when you watch a lot of TV news, what did they really put out there? They're programming you with negative information. It's all that fear.
Yeah, that's nice that you're saying that about perception, because I was reading in a book that say perception is not the truth. It's the way that you see things, and your perception is not the same perception the other person. So perception is not true, and
Yeah, it's like
that's nice that you're saying that.
it's like the world. Okay, the reality of the world. My reality of the world is going to be different than your reality of the world. It's completely different. The only difference is because how you're seeing it and how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, and also that's when people get offended because something you say something that you in the other person interpreted that you're trying to offend them and it wasn't.
Yeah, you see this a lot on social media. How
Yeah.
you say one thing and it was like, that's not what I meant. And they're like, well, you're explaining that you're toxic or whatever. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's
It's how they see things. And that's why I feel like texting does not really constitute real communication, because
yeah,
when you and I are having this conversation, we're actually putting emotions behind it. We can hear our tone, we can hear reflections on things, and it's a different setting. Rather than we do this via text, there's no emotion behind it.
yeah.
Emoji, exclamation mark, all caps.
That's the new generation now. Everything is like text and everything emojis, and I'm not that part of that generation anymore.
Yeah, and the problem there is when I talked about connection, it's communication. It's not the communication, it's the connection. And I think that's when we really need to listen twice as much, because when you're really listening to a person, you can have that empathy with and have an understanding where that person's coming from, how you can even relate, putting yourself into their shoes. And I can relate. I might not have that same experience that you might have had, but I can somewhat maybe relate. And then if I don't understand, that's when you ask that question. It's like, can you explain to me, a little bit about, what you mean by that? And I want to see your lens, and so that we can have a better understanding.
Yeah, that's right. And it's for the reason that I really like your book, but it's the way that you wrote it, and it's great. So, and I just want to like ask you one last um, question. The people that hasn't read your book yet, how they can apply the Fred method without even read your book yet?
That one right there is when I go back to focus, resilience, energetic, and driven, and how to apply that in your life is finding out what you really want in life, finding your why, and looking at all the setbacks that you might have had and reframe them, use them as fuel. So that's kind of like you're building up your resilience, you're building up your rejection, and being okay, like, okay, I've been rejected 1,000 times, and being persistent. That's the thing, never giving up. The whole other thing too is on the energy side is what can you control? You can control the food that you're eating. You control being in motion in life by working out. I always tell people that if you want to make a change, that you need to make a change by every day. It's setting yourself out. Like if you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. You want to work out, go for a walk. Whatever you're doing, being in motion, and the main reason why is because of this blood flow. I look at it as I get paid for my brain. And what can I do to put myself in a better situation or put myself in a better environment? Not drinking alcohol, do red light therapy, I do cold plunge, I do hot sauna. I'm doing things that will kind of help me out so I can be better in my job, as well as I make sure that my body, that I got good nutrients, got good blood flow, that I can able to perform and give my best to my employer. And the thing about also too about being driven is finding out, it goes back to finding out the why and being disciplined on that and having that as your driving factor, that this is what I'm doing. Like I have this mission statement, like I want to inspire people to live a healthy, prosperous life. Or like whenever I do speaking engagements, I look at it as the acronym of LIT. And that acronym is that I'm leading, inspiring, and I'm teaching.
Lit,
Lit.
lit,
Yeah, lit.
leading, inspire. Okay, leading,
Uh,
inspire,
leading, inspiring, and
leading,
teaching.
leading, inspire, teach, lead. All right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. So when people are like, when kids are saying that's fire, I'm saying, hey, I'm lit.
I like that. Let me take a note with that. All right,
I love
awesome.
doing acronyms.
Yeah, I like that because that's sticking in my mind. So the fracting is sticking in my mind. I know what it means. It's easier for me because English is my second language too. I think it does like help me a lot.
Like I have one where when people talk about team, everybody thinks it's together, everyone achieves more. Whereas I look at it as team as um, know the value of your time, your energy, your attention, and your motivation.
That's good too. All right, I'm learning from you. I think I'm taking my notes. I'm learning, and thank you so much. I know that a lot of people gonna learn from you too, and I'm learning from you. Tell me, like, what are you doing now? What actually you're like doing besides your job? Like, are you having like conference, speech coming soon? Another book
Oh well, I
on
have I have
planning?
I have the other book. It's been out there. I haven't really I haven't done anything really about it yet. I talked about it.
The way to. Oh, nice. I need to read
Yeah, so what I
that.
did is I broke things down into a pyramid where it goes
Uh-huh.
into self-explanation, self-discovery, self-understanding, self-love, self-transformation, and then you have self-mastery. And self-mastery is it's at the top of the level. You're never going to have that. It's going to be always circling, but you're always learning. You're always gaining, and you want to teach others. That's the whole thing about self-mastery, just living in that and up in that top echelon period where you're just giving back to everybody.
So I had another question for you because I think you're an inspiration, and you said that I don't know how about you, but you look fantastic because you
Uh,
said that your parents passed before you were 50, and I was like, how old is he?
Yeah, I'm 52.
Oh my God. So you look younger though. So but you were talking about red light. So how people that I didn't know about it, how can people like get like to the red light? What is a red light therapy?
Okay, so red light therapy, people can go ahead and do this without having to spend money. I bought my own red light panels. Main reason why is because of all the stuff I did behind
Hmm.
me, I broke my back and I can no longer compete in Olympic weightlifting. In order to reduce my inflammation, I would go ahead and use these red light panels that have infrared and near infrared light that would go ahead and help stimulate the blood flow. It also help reduce inflammation. So that was a thing of like, I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that I can actually still be able to walk because when I broke my back, I was on the couch for about a month. Every pain that I took it was an unbearable step, and that's why whenever I talk about my time quarter motion method was I have the ability to walk. I have this appreciation because I know where I was, where I couldn't make the single step. So whenever people would see me out and maybe I might be at a club, I'm jumping up and down because I know where I was. And so the whole thing of the red light is you can go out in the morning, get that first light, let that sun hitting your eyes, hitting your body, take in that vitamin D. So that's how you can go ahead and do things. It helps you set up your circadian rhythm to help you with your sleep also.
Oh, nice.
There's places.
I was thinking that there were you had to go to a certain place to get it, but I didn't know. So.
Okay, there's a place. I go to a place called Optimize. They have red light therapy there, so they have these panels, and you just go into this room, and it's like 20 minutes, and then these red lights are just on, and they just penetrate your body, and you feel, and it's kind of hot. Like I have my light on right here, and I'm like, geez, that's kind of hot. It's kind of similar. It's kind of similar to the hot you would get from the red light, but it's just near and infrared light penetrating your body and it's going deeper into the muscles.
That's awesome. That's thank you for all the knowledge that you had, and thank you for giving me this time to like to talk to you and learn more about you and also learn about your book, and it's great. But before we end this episode, I always ask three random questions to my
Okay.
guests. All right. So the first one is like, if you were president of the universe for one day of the universe, and you have to create a law that is gonna last forever, what will be that law?
Okay. So I started thinking about like what's been going on with the politics right now. And I've always said to myself, like, if I was president, I'll just go with that. And I'm not going to say the universe or anything. I'm just saying president of the United States. I would go ahead instead of complaining so much about what is already there, just enhancing what's there. Like I started hearing about healthcare. I'm like, you know, when I hear, I'm not going to go into political stuff, but when I hear them, because I'm apolitical, when I hear both of them communicating, I always feel like you got to act as if you are being that president at that time right now with that particular question. How would I go ahead and handle things? Like when I would deal with talking about healthcare as an example. Healthcare, instead of coming up with, well, I don't have no plan for the healthcare until I'm president. I'm like, simple thing. Healthcare, you cannot, it's going to be like the act of like, uh, like you have to change the world or whatever for in order things for change because like things are very hard to move. I would go ahead and healthcare is the way it is. You end up giving everybody a medical IRA. So they have giving the power back to the people, meaning that you can go ahead and put in money pre-tax into a health savings account. So then you can be in control of your own destination. Like if you're a family and you're going to have some medical issues down the road, because what is medical bankruptcy always happens and occurs. So how do we do that? you take the power back to the people. You start letting them be able to save money for their own expenditures, like getting eyeglasses, contacts, dental care. You're going ahead and you're putting away this money so that you can go ahead and utilize that down the road. Might not happen right now, but it's about building up and teaching people about being more financially responsible. And I think that's what's kind of lacking. Like I started thinking they should be teaching the four agreements instead of making these laws. I think what they need to do is having teaching people to not take things so personally on one of the four agreements.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
then
people.
also
No,
be impeccable with your word.
yeah, that's true. That's great. I'm glad that you said that, especially in this moment that we're living now in America. That's good. And the second question that I have for you is like, when was the last time you did something for the first time?
The last time I did something for the first time,
Yes.
um, gosh, I guess you'd say. I guess everything, every. When you think about it, every day you're doing something. You're doing something new. Because every day is a new day. It's like you're seeing the world. When you see that sunset or the sunrise, it's always going to be different. It's not going to be the same thing, and you just like have an appreciation for it.
That's that's great that you said that. It's the first person that said that. And it's true. Every day is something new. You just see the light different way every day because, like you said before, you're learning. You're like going learning different things every day. So you're sitting in different ways and you're learning.
Right.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Honestly, I like
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
And and the last one is like, which book will you recommend to anybody that is having problem to take decisions?
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and say my book, but but in reality,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go ahead and say anything through Dr. Wayne Dryer.
Yeah.
He's been my mentor. I know he's passed on, but his words always resonate with me. I love listening to his stuff. There's so many books that are out there. Jocko's book out there talking about extreme ownership was also a very good book. The Dale Carnegie books, Win Friend and Influence. What is it? Win Friends and Influence. Whatever. I have to look at my bookcase. But I think anything in general is like Four Agreements is also another good book there too.
For agreement. Who wrote that? I haven't
Don
read that.
Miguel Ruiz.
Don Miguel
Ruiz.
Rodriguez.
Ruiz.
Okay, agreement. I got it. All right, Don Miguel.
And then and then his sons also are authors. So anything that they write, because they talk about the Toltec, they're doing everything based on the Toltecs, what they grew up with and what they were, how they would teach others, and it's really basic, and it's something that I think everybody really needs to incorporate in their life.
That's great. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Frederick, for this time. How can we support you? How can people find you if they want to like get your book or like get like a coaching from you?
Okay, you can get a hold of me at fredmartinez.info. You can also go into, I have a website on my book, which is the wtfredbook.com. And then also Amazon. So you can find all the information about me on Amazon, and you can do a search off of What the Fred on Amazon, and then they can
You're
go
gonna
ahead
find,
and they can purchase my book there, and then they can
yeah.
really.
And I also saw it in Siwa,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there last week and I saw it and it's like people here from Arizona, they can go get it in Siwa too.
Yeah, they can get it there. They can get the new book is there, and
I need to
then
get that
I
one.
also have another book, which was this book is the Santa Fe style cooking. So these are all the recipes from my mom. that I ended up wanting to just teach people like all the stuff that she made that I grew up with. I know that for me, I'm probably going to have to do a revision and make it a healthy version on things because I've been doing like almond. If I make tortillas, I make them with almond flour.
Are you Spanish, friend?
Yeah, I'm Spanish.
Like Mexican
No,
heritage?
from ancestors. Well, I could honestly say my ancestors were under three flags
How,
because they were under because they moved into New Mexico. So that my ancestors came during the time when Ponce de Leon, during that time period with the conquistadors from
mhm.
Spain, and then they settled into the New Mexico area. And so part of that area was part of, so you had Spain, and then you had Mexico, and then the United States.
Oh, Spanish, Mexican, and American.
Yeah, and then it's like so weird because I'm looking at my heritage, and apparently I'm a descendant of the one of our two presidents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we never expected that at all. It was like Jefferson and Garfield.
Oh, wow. That's good. That's great. Awesome. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Again, I always say thank you because I'm grateful, and I think you being here and giving me the opportunity to talk to you is it meant a lot to me. Especially I'm starting this and in this, I'm new in this, and also for me it's a challenge to do it in English. And it's for the reason that I like to do it, and every time I learn something new, and I learn a lot from you from your book, and today I've learned more from you for sure. Thank you so much, and
Mhm.
I hope see you soon again, and like meet each other in person
Yeah,
like
definitely.
someday. Thank you so much, Fred,
Well, thank,
and
thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, especially where you're making a difference. You started off with a great group of people out of SWIA, and I just have high regards for them. I haven't taken. I've only taken their seminars, but just in general, just what they put out there, good quality people, and everybody that I met there is spectacular. They're making a difference in the world. So always remember that you're making a difference. You're inspiring people, and you're helping, and you're laying the path and the groundwork, making a difference in this world.
thank you so much. You too. And honestly, you're an inspiration too for that. And I always love to see your posts and on Facebook.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night, and we're gonna see you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching this episode. And remember, we are on Spotify, on YouTube, and don't forget to follow me in Instagram and Facebook. See you next time. Thank you.